Okay, welcome everybody back. After lunch, we are doing a group exercise. So you all wake up and we also want to hopefully leverage what we've learned here to the next level and think about where could qualitative research be in the next couple of years? What could be new? What could be really new to us? We've been discussing things that we've been doing new in the past year or in the past 2 years. Let's take it ahead and let's think about the future. So I would like to take you through a slightly modified World Café version. You've experienced this yesterday already. We will have tables where we discuss things and then we switch tables so you get to talk with a lot of people in the room. So I would like you to please build groups of 5 to 6. 5 is good, 6 is perfect, 7 is too many. Less than 5 is not enough. So please make sure to have tables of 5 to 6 and move around. Try to meet others. Don't sit with the people you've been sitting with for the past day. Meet new people. Take the chance and meet new people. Don't sit with the people of your company, with your friends. Sit with new people. So take the chance to introduce each other at your table. Feel free to exchange your business cards. Do this quickly and get introduced. And then let's choose a host. We don't have moderators. I know many of you are moderators, but we don't have moderators. But we do have a host. And this host will stay at the same table and take the notes. And when the other people will switch to the next table, the host stays, introduces what has been discussed at that table to the new group, and then hosts the next session. So, can you choose a host? Do you find a volunteer at your table? The host will take the notes and will later debrief with us what has happened on the table. Okay, and we don't have talking sticks, but I hope we will be capable to nevertheless discuss and only have one talk at the time and the rest listen and all those rules that you know anywheres. Whoops, next one here. So, there are some few new people coming in. Please join one of the tables that only have 4, if possible. Is that, here's one of 4, here. Okay, there are some few rules. First of all, focus on the question. Listen to the others at your table and build on other ideas. Add your own thoughts and experiences, but build on other ideas. I think you've heard that before. There's no right or wrong answer here. Shut down your thoughts on the tablecloth. Okay, you cannot shut it down on the tablecloth here, but we have got flip chart paper and flip chart pens. And the host can write, and everybody else who wants to contribute can write down ideas, everything that comes to your mind on that flip chart paper. And then I've got a printout of the questions that we will work on. Everybody can take one of these printouts, and that's your personal note-taking paper. You don't leave this with the table. You can take this with you when you change the table. So these are your personal notes. And when you've got any aha during the discussion, anything, please make sure to jot it down on that paper as well. What we will do, you see, we will get lots of ideas, hopefully, and filter them in the end. So we appoint a host. We will have 3 rounds of questions, which means 3 times changing the table, switch seats. And then the host stays at the same table. We try to mix the people, and then the host summarizes to the next round quickly what has been discussed so that the new people can build on the ideas of the group before. Okay, everybody has got a host? Host, show your hands. 1, 2, 3. Host here? Okay. Well, I think we're all set. So we can start with the first round of questions. Nothing magic to it. There's the same questions that you've got on your sheet of paper. So, we have been talking now for a full day and a half about qualitative research. We heard a lot of interesting approaches where people used new methods, new ideas to get to deeper insights, to other ways to get the insights. And I would like you to think about what made it different, what triggered it, and where can innovations come from. Just think about, where do innovations come from? Do they come from technology? Do they come from academia? From science? Where are the triggers? Where do we get new input for our work for qualitative research? And then please note this on the flip charts on your paper, and then you've got 10 minutes. I'll let you know 2 minutes before the end when we're done. Just think about, what did you do or hear that you think was new in qualitative research in the past 1.5 days, but maybe also in the past week from other colleagues. Maybe you read something. What is new in qualitative research? Let's try to get the collective experience and think about where we can take this. And most of all, have fun with this exercise. It's not serious. Just enjoy it and try to build and be creative with the others. Hosts, please summarize for your group what has been discussed in your group before, and then move on to the next question. And the next question, I would like you to think of other areas, not our own area of qualitative research, but just think of cars, or you can think also of planes, sports, music, any other topic that you enjoy. Just for cars as an example, what was new in the past 10 years? Remember cars 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and nowadays. Think about the elements that are new. Think about what could possibly have triggered it. And then I would like you to get adjectives, words that describe the newness. What is it? Is it faster, better, blah, blah, blah. Not just better. I would like to know what exactly you could use as an adjective. And I would like you to at least to collect a lot of adjectives and then mark the 3 most important ones to you in the end. Okay? So please summarize at every table what has been said there, so you can build on what you did before and on what you're hearing here, and then start with a new topic and think about what is new in a totally different area. And I leave it up to you to choose whether your table takes cars, airplanes, sports, or food. And a new flip chart, please. Use your flip chart that you had to summarize it for your table. Please listen now to the new question, which is on the last page of your printout, that takes us back to why we're here, to qualitative research. Please use the 3 adjectives that have been marked as the most important ones or most interesting ones. And if there were no adjectives marked before, make sure to decide on them, to narrow it down before we continue with the next question. I would like you now to think about those adjectives and think about qualitative research. What could be done new and different in qualitative research to make this happen? Yeah? Just fill in the sentence. To make qualitative research Faster, for example, would mean would need. What would we need to do to make it faster, more beautiful? Whatever you found as your adjectives, think about what we need to make qualitative research, ... adjectives, and write this down for me, please. And then the next step would be, what are the challenges and what are the advantages over the traditional method? And finally, how we could convince clients. Okay, have fun with this.
We talked about the move towards convenience. We talked about local versus regional trends and also purity. We were more
Oh, I
building-
can't hear you, sorry.
Hi.
Can you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, better.
Okay. So we moved towards, we were talking about, we really took 3 objectives from the category we've been talking about, which was food, and built on those and fleshed out convenience and said, if qualitative was moving towards greater convenience, it's not, obviously not the only thing you'd want it to move towards, but it would mean greater accessibility to the consumer, faster turnaround, that would go in hand with mobile or online sort of platforms. It won't be the only thing that Qual does, but obviously what we've talked about over the last 2 days. The challenges would be the lack of non-verbal communication and even being able to experience the vibe in the room, and obviously building rapport with respondents. The inability for the consumer to actually touch and feel a product, particularly in more tangible sort of type products. Reliance on poor technology in certain markets. You'll be very reliant, obviously, on possibly poor infrastructure, possibly more difficult with online, mobile to access certain segments, whether it's older segments of the population or those obviously in low smartphone penetration markets. They would be some of the challenges of moving towards online. And how would we convince clients? I think that was one of the other ones. Time saving, lower costs, potentially, aside from the initial startup costs of an online community. And potentially that you can access some people who wouldn't otherwise participate in traditional research, unless you pay them a particularly high incentive for a one-on-one basis. So people who are possibly more technology savvy, or people who attend an event, for example, in the tourism sector, and then they travel away from the event, and you can access them. Or people you can access because they use a particularly confidential or product that's quite sensitive. And
Qualitative, the challenges are the same as they've always been. There's sort of no new qualitative techniques because we're still doing the same things. We're still talking and we're still listening. And we know that over the last few years, things have changed very, very quickly. So focus groups became online focus groups, became online panels, became interacting through Facebook, and then passive looking at Facebook, and then WhatsApping people. So it's just the ability to talk to clients, to talk to consumers has become easier. But the techniques that we use are still the same. We're just doing it faster over a wider space of time. What's new is new relationships. We have new relationships between the client and the consumers. There's new relationships between us as researchers and the consumers, but also new relationships between us and the brand. We are allowing the consumers to be more expert. We're allowing them to be more collaborative. They're no longer passengers in the process. They're co-pilots. But we still, as researchers, are in charge of that process. We still need to have that control over what's actually legitimate information that's useful and actionable, rather than something that's just passing. You know, if people like something on Facebook, does it mean that they really like it, or were they just killing time? If we take the pulse too quickly and diagnose immediately from that, we're not really doing a full diagnostic of the health. So we need to be careful that we're not moving too quickly in our analysis because we have the ability to reach more quickly than we had in the past. So we just need to be careful, keep it back to sort of qualitative basics while we're having more access and more control.
We also talked a lot about collaborations. So it's like where are resources for collaboration, and we think that there would be possibilities for collaborations between research agencies, but also on client side for collaboration between brands to kind of doing research projects together, which would be beneficial for everybody. But actually, in our discussion, we also had the feeling that most of the time, or sometimes, even internal collaboration is a problem, like when you work with big client companies, that they don't really collaborate internally, and that's where the problems start. So kind of, working together with clients, sharing it with everybody could be beneficial for the whole industry, and also reduce the costs. The third adjective was eco-friendly, and we didn't really cover that in the final discussion.
Every other group seemed to be very organized. We seem to be a little bit more chaotic over here, but I was acting in the role of host, as my role was, rather than moderator, I guess. Through the three questions, we came to a single adjective, in inverted commas, peace of mind, which we, in discussion, attributed to two different focuses, I guess, or foci. One being peace of mind associated with the product, where it had come from initially, associated with cars and security and efficiency and all of these sorts of attributes that maybe are present in more modern cars. And we also talked about peace of mind in terms of the methodology and the relationship between a company that may be seeking research of a client agency, and also between agency and consumer, or company and consumer, or end user of product. We define peace of mind in one case as being calm, relaxed, in flow, and so on for the person and the user. We defined peace of mind in terms of methodology, in terms of no bias, openness, honesty, sense of trust and things. And I guess some of the basis of this in terms of how it carried through, we saw new innovations in methods like face recognition and eye tracking in these, and I guess there were some issues around, well, what are these actually measuring compared with the traditional methods. We moved on to some of the challenges. So why would you need peace of mind? What would qualitative, who would it benefit, I guess, if you had peace of mind in the sense that it was defined in this? One being the agency and the client, the other being the consumer and the end user, that there would be, I guess, a sense of trust and honesty through the whole process. Challenges with regard to this, that we didn't get so far with this, but ultimately it was around perhaps in that client company agency relationship that agencies don't necessarily understand their clients, and vice versa. There's a lack of trust, there's a need to know basis. So I guess we were driving down, we didn't quite get to the end, we were driving down the road of how do our qualitative methods be truly of more value, and how do we, I guess, co-create then in how we do that, so that we're not trying to pull the wool over each other's eyes in terms of methodology. We're all involved in that value need, I guess, moving forward to ultimately bring better value and meet the need of the consumer.
Our team decided to see two common objectives. The first one would obviously be fast and speedy, which is given to the industry. But the more important thing is that enjoyment. This is learning from the trend in food, and we try to apply that into qualitative research as well. So we feel that there is a need to make the whole experience, both for us as researchers, for the respondents, for the client, as well as fun and as playful as possible. And that way we can get a better answer from the participants, either through, well, we can see from the case study from Heinz and also from P&G already this morning, that immersion and also online forum can be made fun. And when people are having fun, they can give you genuine answers. They would be more willing to participate with the discussion. Because now if we're looking at the condition around the world, I think we got a lot of professional respondents who just interested coming to the discussion only to get the incentives or only to get the food and the free coffee. So by making this process a bit more fun, then we can, probably screen out those villains from the whole process. And but the challenges that, well, one of the things that we feel it can work is that the online panels and also the chat room would be very beneficial for all of us. But the challenges would be how to convince the client, because we can come up with innovations, a lot of innovations, but when it comes to client and they're still having the traditional mindset about qualitative research, it's kind of hard to persuade them and buy our suggestions.
So do you have any idea of how we could persuade them to make it more
So far,
playful?
Not yet.
We discussed about the use of WhatsApp in research, as was elaborated yesterday, facial coding, the use of ethnographic methods for analyzing different groups such as children or people who have lesser wages or something, who are low socioeconomic people. And then the triggers for these are basically the fierce competition which is happening around in the market. Every company wants to be on top and wants to innovate. Apart from that, expanding the business with the emphasis on social responsibility. The pressure of time, definitely everything wants to be done quickly, and pressure of cost, and then adapting to the local culture is very important, as was elaborated by Tico in the morning session. Then bringing a more intimate portrayal of the consumers from consumers to the client. Like yesterday, Miko had clearly pointed out that consumer is the boss, and certainly if any company wants to make money, they have to put themselves in the shoes of a consumer and think alike. So that is very important. And innovations have certainly come from technology, definitely. And apart from that, R&D and clients and consumers are also playing a part in this. So the adjectives which we came out for this were definitely quick, cheap, and enjoyable. So we have to make the whole process enjoyable, not only for the consumer, but also for the client. Both have to enjoy. And definitely the challenges, apart from convincing the client, would be getting everybody on the same platform, everybody thinking alike, and doing these things step by step. So for convincing the clients, we actually discussed that evidence-based, as in if we can produce something which has some evidence or some case studies to the client, they will definitely be more, up for taking these methods on board. And advantages are, apart from quick, as in less time, and decreasing the cost, it would be more interesting both for the client as well as the consumer. So, enjoyable for both.
So our adjectives were going faster, dynamic, functional, better performance. So, but what we thought was, what could be new for Qual is to go back to the basics. So having a Qual that is cosmopolitan, slower pace, more considerate, and deeper understanding. So the kind of teams that we are looking at is qualitative teams that have different backgrounds, professional, academic, social, different cultures, something like a floating Qual researchers who will go to different countries, live there, experience the culture, and brainstorm work. So it's like a floating qualitative, right? That's something we had. More nimble and flexible, and engage in controversial discussions to spark thought, bring in new thoughts. So, get into different streams of not just research, but maybe political discussions or anything controversial. And one last one was about doing digital at a slow pace, at a long-term pace. So it's not about going fast with digital, because digital means it stands for speed, but we're thinking of, a longer, slower pace of digital.
I didn't understand it in the beginning. It was digital slower pace, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
doing digital at a much slower pace. So which is
Anything you need
long
to do
term.
to convince the clients?
Anything.
Or are they already convinced?
No, I'm sure they'll buy this.